Hi, my name is Ron Kelly, and I'm here today representing the Save the Trail group. Just like to give a very brief update of what's happening. The city has proposed to put a new water aqueduct along the south shore of the Hermosa River here. Construction is nearing completion on segment 1 of the trail, and segment 2 from the bend in the river downstream, this area that we're looking at now, is presently under an environmental assessment. This assessment will be looking at all the different routes and options, and we hope that they will come up with a different route. Our basic position as the group is that the natural environment here is too sensitive and unique to lose, and we want it preserved. We don't want to see the site of a chemical company and the site of an abandoned landfill preserved. We're more interested in the natural environment. Thank you very much. This destruction that's occurred here is when they brought a track machine in to do some test bores down here, and the Cutting Club gave them permission to do the initial surveying and a couple of test holes, but they had no idea that this kind of damage was going to occur. They just thought it'd be a little farm tractor or something coming down. So it's hard for people to understand that what they see here is only a fraction of what will occur, and that's why it's important for people to see segment 1 and then in their mind try and visualize what that would look like here. It's interesting, one day I found, looking at this rock wall, this face appeared, and this will be the nose here and the cheek and the eye and the chin. It's quite an interesting face. It looks to me like it's the face of a native person who may have hundreds of years ago walked this area. Now I'd just like to present a bit of an overview of the issue that's really at stake here. We're really lucky to be standing in such a beautiful and natural area right within the limits of the city, and in fact this trail has extensive use by many, many people in the city. And it's one of those few resources that I don't think we cherish enough. It's a natural wild area, and it's the kind of thing that people can enjoy without having to drive out to the country or drive up north to see it. It also provides incredible habitat for all the plants and animals and birds that we all love and enjoy. I would just like to point out the feature here that makes this area so incredibly special is the limestone outcroppings here. And they're quite a feature. They're not only beautiful, but they represent amazing habitat for a whole host of mosses and ferns and lichens, and then of course these support all the insects and the small animals and whatnot. There's flying squirrels live up above in the woods above these cliffs. There's fish in this river. There's pike spawning ground just downstream a little piece. There's an incredible soft maple swamp just between me and the river here that's just coming into bloom now. The actual trail that runs through here is an interesting trail. It's the old bed for the radio line that used to run through here years ago, and it's been abandoned, I believe, for about 60 years. And it's really completely naturalized in here now. Other than some of the destruction that we see, there's a number of trees, and large trees and small trees and shrubs that have been pushed over. And the reason for that was that there was some survey work done in here when they wanted to consider putting the pipeline through. And the Cutting Club actually owns this property, and they gave permission to the city to come in and do some initial surveying and drill a couple of test bores. And unfortunately, they didn't realize it, but the company decided to come through with a large track machine, about a 9 or 10 foot machine, and they pushed everything out of the way to get in to do this work. And the interesting thing is that many people have been appalled and shocked by the damage that's been done here, and it is severe and it is extreme, but it could be fixed up. I think the point to make here is that it's only just a fraction of what would happen if the aqueduct went on the south shore of this river. The project that the city is proposing is to put in a new water aqueduct line to run from Stone Road to the pumping station on the other side of the river here, along York Road by the fiberglass plant. The old water aqueduct that's presently in place has some fairly severe leakage in it, especially in the segment 1 section. And so the city proposed that they would put in a gravity feed line all the way along the south shore of the river and then cross the river downstream here to the water plant. When we found out about this back in the fall, we attempted to stop the project, and the Minister of the Environment intervened at that point, and a compromise was reached with the city, and they were allowed to continue on segment 1 of the trail, which is upstream, and the construction is nearing completion there now, but they would submit themselves to an environmental assessment for the downstream portion of the project, which runs from the bend in the river where the train trestle is on the other side of Hart Chemical downstream. And our position as the group is that on the south shore of the river here, we just have an incredibly beautiful natural environment that is, you know, it's really valueless in a sense. How do you assess what a dollar value to something like this? I don't think you can. And basically our position is that this should be preserved at all costs. This area is just simply too rich and too natural and too necessary to allow it to be destroyed by a construction project for the aqueduct, because there are alternative routes. And what we're saying to the city is we want them to explore the alternative routes and options that they have in terms of going on the other side of the river. It's possible for them, for instance, to hook up the new line that they put in to the existing line, which runs, by the way, on the north side of the river. It's possible for them to do this, and they would save themselves a lot of money. The line that I'm talking about is relatively new, and it has quite a bit of life left in it. The part that they've done the construction on is a part where a major amount of leakage was occurring. Also, if they want to put in a whole new line, they could go on the other side of the river. There are places that can be engineered. Now, our position is that we want to see this environment preserved. It's a natural environment, and the construction project would simply wipe this out. They're talking about having a working corridor of 60 feet in here. Now, 60 feet, I don't know how they're going to attempt to fit it into most of the area down here, because they simply don't have the room to do it. It would involve extensive blasting of this rock in here, and they would also be out into the riverbed area. Now, if they attempt to go out into the riverbed, between me and the river is a swampy area that's filled with organic soils, which is underlain by a marl material, and it simply, you can't go anywhere near that with large construction equipment. They would devastate this. It would look, well, in fact, the contractor, in his own words, he said, when this project is finished, it will look like the 401. It will be a strip that runs through here, and it will be total devastation. Now, the city is saying, oh yes, you know, we'll put this in, but we'll also restore it. Our position is that we have a beautiful natural environment here, and to put a project of that nature through, it would destroy this, and you couldn't restore it. I mean, you can't restore a piece of furniture that falls out of the back of a truck and smashes into 100 pieces. That can't be done. And we're saying the same thing with this trail, that it simply can't be restored. And the other point that I think is worth noting is that we have a beautiful area here now that is enjoyed by hundreds and hundreds of people.